In the wake of Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida embracing the culture wars and becoming the right wing's culture warrior du jour, and signing the Stop Woke Act. So now what's the Stop Woke Act? Basically, it bans discussion of race and LGBTQ issues in the classroom. Now, in response to this, and there's been a lot of responses, but here's a really good one. You had an activist in Florida that has filed a lawsuit to ban another book from the classroom using their very definition. Now, that book happens to be the Bible. Now, Chaz Stevens had recently filed a complaint with 8 different school districts in Florida challenging the Bible's place in schools. Stevens cites examples directly from the Bible to prove that is just too woke for today's young students, which must be protected and put inside a bubble at all times, according to Republicans. Here's a few from his complaint. Age appropriateness. He writes, as the Bible casually references such topics as adultery and fornication, or as I like to think, date night Friday night, do we really want to teach our youth about drunken orgies? And by the way, here's a quote from Matthew 15:19. For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false witness, and slander. Yes. Or, as Charlie Kirk likes to put it,
sexual anarchy.
Sexual anarchy. Love it. All right. Second, bestiality and rape. Taking a cue from Florida statute CH, I'm not going to read that. One should consider such discussions to be harmful to minors and obscene. Leviticus 18:23 says, do not have sexual relations with an animal and defile yourself with it. A woman must not present herself to an animal to have sexual relations with it. That is a perversion. My question is, why they had to put that in the book? Was there like a plague of people having sex with animals? Is that what was going on? I don't understand why that was necessary. I mean, that's like putting do not eat on a silica gel package. You're not going to eat that, are you? I guess some people wanted to eat it. Or these redundant wording labels on things. Do not immerse in water. Okay. And that's the, of course, warning sign in the hairdryer. But apparently enough people have done that for there to be instructions. Okay, more. Wokeness. With the constant babbling concerns about teaching critical race theory, should we not take stock of the Bible's position on slavery? I am concerned our young white students will read such passages and wake up to civilization's sordid past. Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters according to the flesh, with fear and trembling, in singleness of your heart, as unto Christ, not with eye service, as men pleasers, but as the servants of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart, with good doing service, as to the Lord, and not to men, knowing that whatever good thing any man doeth, the same he shall receive of the Lord, whether he be bond or free. And that's Paul's epistle to the Ephesians. Yes. Social emotional learning. Now, I talked about this in a previous segment about how Republicans are going after social emotional learning, which I thought was funny because it's basically teaching your kid to be an empathetic, nice, decent person. Apparently, Republicans not in favor of that. He writes, the most troubling of issues for many, as it's obvious once we teach little Jimmy and Susie to show empathy for their classmates, they're one giant step closer to getting their LGBTQ plus freak on. And by the way, I love his writing there. Genesis 2:18 says, it is not good enough for man to be alone, therefore encourage one another and build each other up. That sounds very, very woke and possibly even communist. But there's a lot more. Now, look, the Bible is full of some very questionable stuff. You got mass murder. You got people handing over their daughters to a crowd so that the crowd can then rape them. You got incest. You got Lot's daughters, drunkenness, and yeah, There's infanticide with all the firstborn sons of Egypt. I don't think there's any reason why a child should be subject to reading this horrible stuff. I mean, especially in school. Wow. And yet, the real problem, according to DeSantis, is math books. You know, math books that are too woke. Math. Yes, over 200 books have been banned in Florida so far under DeSantis. And the State Board of Education announced last week that it will reject 71% of elementary school math textbooks and 41% of textbooks for all grades. Officials say the curriculum contained prohibited content about critical race theory. Ah, yes. Oh, yeah, I gotta get this critical race theory out of my math book. Oh, there's just something wrong about, these numbers. This feel too woke. These woke math problems. DeSantis insisted that the textbooks contained prohibited content that was meant to indoctrinate children. Indoctrinate them into what? To knowing math? I don't understand. And by the way, when he was asked to list examples, he couldn't point to one. Not a one. Not a one. Because of course he couldn't. Now that leads me back to this American hero, Mr. Stevens. Here's what he said, quote, "As often is the case with banned books, I ask your agency, lay flame to that giant stack of fiction in a pyre worthy of a Viking send-off." I love that. Oh, boy. So, look, are they really going to burn the books? No. But he is making a point here. And the point is valid. Look, the people who ban books are generally not the good guys in any situation. Okay? And by the way, history, and this is why they don't like teaching history, okay? The people who ban books generally tend to be right-wingers on the far right. And so, look, in Tennessee, I showed you a video of them doing a literal book burning. Like a whole party. And so, yes, the point here is a good one. And by the way, there's one more quote here. This is from the Miami New Times. He says, if they're going to ban books, then the whole library should be in play. My hope, and it's a long shot, is that they will apply their own standards to themselves and ban the Bible. Well, of course, you don't know right-wingers. If you think they're going to apply their own standards to themselves, I don't know, are you kidding me? No. Standards are for you. They're not for me. Rules are for you. They're not for me. No, they don't apply to me at all. No, they're just meant for me to control your life. And that's it. That's always what it's about. As usual, total hypocrisy when it comes to the issue of cancel culture.